edition of the Sports And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
We are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Floor. And yes, you can tell by the echo there, the Barnes and Michael show. Wishing Tony a speedy recovery, a little under the weather today.
Yes.
But Michael more than ready to step in. And the last time we saw Michael, there was a little Houdini moment. So I'm sure he's riled about that and has been thinking about it the last couple of days.
Definitely been thinking about it. Glad the Chiefs won so we could beat TCA.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's nice too. Not only do we just need to win either, the spread or the total, in the picks this week to clinch for the season, for the postseason, that is. We were talking about, the whole idea of Mahomes passing Brady. And I know, the general consensus, all the football fans, sick of, the Chiefs and all of that. But just from a perspective of, all-time greats, you really can't question it. And the reason why I feel like I appreciate it more is because I just feel like, all-time greats are spread out over the course of history. But when you think about active all-time greats across all major sports, there's just not that many. So to see one, see prime. A guy that we saw it the whole way through, we remember that first start, of his rookie year in 2017, getting the last start of the season, and then just taking over in 18. And, it was kind of like the passing of the guard. Tommy getting him one more time in the AFC Championship game. And then he kind of took off from there. And the only other two losses in the regular season, or not the regular season, but the postseason, being to Brady and to Burrow. It just been quite the run for them. Me and Tony were talking about it yesterday, and you just hear it all over radio, social media. I mean, just the constant complaining and whining about how, this is the worst matchup ever.
Is it really that bad?
Well, no, it's just because everybody has this like Philly thing, which I don't know. I've never had, and I don't know. It's just because, like, obviously Yankees are my big New York team, so
I really don't like Philly fans, to be honest, as much.
But I don't think it's like this. Like, it is like, it gets pretty crazy, like the level of that, it like bothers people. And for me, just because my team's like the Jets and the Yankees, Philly is not their rival. So It's just like, that's why I was never so like, Philly. And I guess Philly is a rival of the Rangers. But I feel like it just doesn't bother me because it's like, I don't know. The Rangers, not the Rangers, but the Flyers are kind of like the Mets. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not really a threat, like Jeter said, right?
Yes, exactly.
And speaking of the New York Rangers, we have Tommy in the building bright and early.
Yes, he's saying, "What's up, boys? Bright and early. Let's go Rangers.
Let's go." Pumped for the game against Carolina, later today at the Garden. I think that's going to be really a good bounce back spot. We talked about it yesterday. Tough loss on Sunday. The back and forth nature of that game. And, it seems like they're still working on Miller. I don't know, if that's going to get done. But just overall, you just see that confidence in the team. And yes, some things, need to be corrected. But it's just a completely different feel watching the Rangers than it had been, leading up to the last couple of weeks. So you feel like there's a sense of confidence, and it's going to be a playoff race, and it's going to be down to the wire. And I know Tommy is, as big of a Sam Rosen fan as any of us, but the all-time legend, kind of like the John Sterling of hockey. This is his last season, and it just seems like it's only right they can figure out a way, just some type of run. And we know, it'd be tough to go all the way, but who knows what'll happen, once you get in the playoffs. But just to get there and give them an opportunity, because they always do on MSG. They'll do the first round of the playoffs on TV, and then he'll do some radio if they advance further. So you never know what can happen. And, Tony always talks about, you have a hot goaltender. You never know what will happen. So really excited to watch that game, later tonight. But if we could get started, Michael, and go to the world of the National Football League.
Let's do it.
He wants Jefferson, climbs the ladder. Oh my goodness! Justin Jefferson, the catch of his life.
Burrow fires, intercepted, picked off at a pick six. Minka Fitzpatrick, an absolute ball hawk.
Niners twist up front and get to Tagovailoa. Bosa again. Mahomes escaping on the move, stops, spins, flips it forward for the touchdown.
Stop it.
Aaron Jones. Oh, what a tackle. Quincy Williams with a pile driver.
Right. All right. So Fireman Ed cheesing somewhere. But of course, the Jets, with the introductory press conferences yesterday of, head coach Aaron Glenn and GM Darren Moogie. And listen, I mean, I'll be the first to admit, press conferences, can only go so far and only tell you so much. But if you really think about it, maybe, just maybe, they tell us a little more, than what you really think. Because, you go back to Gase, as soon as his eye went up to the sky, Michael, it was over, right? They had no chance after that.
Come on, man. That was I can't believe he could say, I was an NFL coach.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's with us.
Yeah, exactly. Especially finished so bad in Miami. Could get rid of him. Just right back up. And I don't know, Peyton Manning. That's the weirdest part. It's I don't know if he paid Peyton or whatever it was, but that was just weird. He just had such a ringing endorsement of him.
I got a little soundbite if you want to play it.
Let's go with the soundbite. At the bottom. I mean, my whole thing is, and I was gonna get to.
One more. Sorry.
Yeah, God.
I personally like this.
No,
guy.
me too.
That's right.
Yeah. No. You love to hear that. And, a couple of things here. First, I was just going to go back to the whole press conference thing because I was saying, Gase, you knew it. And I know everybody kind of speaks to, Saleh's press conference, the gas no break. But if you really, I guess Tommy said the audio didn't work on that for whatever reason. I don't know why.
You know what? Maybe it was muted.
It could, but how is it muted if?
Hold on. Let's get it back.
Maybe Tommy can help us out with this if he could give us confirmation.
Tommy, give us some confirmation. You could hear us though, right?
Yeah or nay, Tommy?
Put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride. Listen, there are going to be some challenges, but with challenges gets opportunity. But here's what I do know: we're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this.
But I was just gonna say, with Saleh, didn't you kind of always get the idea that he was almost like a fake tough guy, when he first came in? You know what I mean? You could kind of see it. I just feel like,
did he even play?
I mean, definitely not in the NFL. Probably in college.
I feel like that's important for
it is important.
Coaches.
And that's what I was going to kind of get to. So I always felt like, there was that fake sense of toughness. Better now that you shared the video. Yeah, so I think that's what it was. But I just feel like hearing Aaron Glenn and the fact too, Michael, and I know a lot of times, people get introduced and they say, this is where I always wanted to be. This is my first choice. And they're just talking out of their ass. But with him, it is actually true. He did have other opportunities. He was a hot commodity. And I just think when you play for a team, there is a sense of pride to go back to that organization and turn it around. And it feels like, just from hearing him, that's exactly what he wants to do.
Player, also scout, his first scouting job with them,
Yes.
and now first-time head coach.
Yeah, and working his way up the ranks, was an assistant for many years. And I feel like, being around that Detroit building for the full transformation of seeing the players, just go from a team that really had no confidence at all and was barely ever even in the playoffs, yet alone winning playoff games, and just seeing that run to the NFC Championship game last year, and the really good season they had this year. Unfortunately, injuries bit him in the ass. But I think he saw that, he learned from that. And I think that, with the Jets, it's just going to be one of those things where there's no such thing as poor attitude, poor work ethic, not being team first. And I really think he's going to instill that in these players. And one guy that I really look at that I think he'll get the best out of is Sauce, because we know Sauce. I mean, just talk about like a 180. You felt you had so much confidence in him. You loved him coming out of Cincinnati. And last year was just not a good year.
No.
And I just feel like, not only from, just a mental perspective, I feel like Glenn, just technique wise, being in the corner for the league as long as he has, or he had been, he's really going to be able to teach him a lot, and just motivate and gets the best out of him. Because I think that's the big thing. When you have head coaches that aren't good motivators, I mean, and it's funny, it's working out in Tampa, but it didn't work out with us with Bulls, kind of the same thing. And I just feel like you need that guy. And you could just tell by Glenn, like, he's not taking any shit. Like, there's no like, oh yeah, I had a planned trip to Egypt, like, even from Rodgers. So it's interesting. They're non-committal on him. They said they'll talk to him. But listening to Rick and Dave earlier, they think he's coming back. He's coming back. But I still am kind of mixed. But maybe Rodgers will just maybe take him more seriously than he did Saleh, and that'll result in him coming back. I mean, where are you at with that whole thing?
Yeah, no, I think he's coming back. I really do. I thought so from even before the coaching hire. I mean, they didn't have the wins and losses, and he was kind of, up and down emotionally. But I mean, he sadly had the best season a Jet quarterback has ever had.
Talking about a complete indictment.
And the stats his stats were like just as good as Mahomes this year and all these other quarterbacks. So, we'll see. I would want him back for 1 year and figure out who's the future.
Yeah, as long as, and I still, like, I don't love it, but as long as, like, they're on the same page, obviously that's the biggest thing. But then also just that, Rodgers has this understanding that he's not dictating, everything that's going on in the organization. He's not taking trips during training camp. He's not telling them, when to fire coaches, when to release players, because there's no way that you could build a culture with somebody like that. So as long as he's willing to kind of, be more humble, take a step back, I'm all for it. But it just remains to be seen how it's going to work. But I kind of just think, players respect players. And I think that's also something kind of like what you were speaking to with Saleh not being an NFL player. I think it's hard, and especially just looking at that and knowing the type of player that Aaron Glenn was for us, where you would think that there would ever be a scenario that Rodgers isn't going to respect him. And I think that goes such a long way, to getting the best results, out of this team.
Yeah, I mean, they just saw what he did with Detroit too, helping Dan turn that thing around. So definitely respect there.
Yeah, you have to respect him, and the Jet pride, I think, is big. And I just think the biggest thing that Aaron Glenn is going to focus on, and kind of like Detroit, because like they were forever, like I said, a laughing stock, pushover, nobody's taking seriously. But I think he really wants to, gain the respect back of the fans, of the league, because when you have, the longest playoff drought in professional sports, it takes a lot to get that back. But I truly believe he's going to do that. We're still waiting on the offensive coordinator hire. And I don't know, too, if maybe they're waiting on that because they want to see if they're going to use Rodgers and just make sure everybody sees eye to eye, which I think is smart, because you can't have people that aren't on the same page, that's obviously never going to work. So it'll be interesting to see what direction, they go there. So definitely, I would expect we'll hear something about that soon. And I think the big motivation too, for the Jets to keep Rodgers is, I guess it's like I don't know if it's like a $45 million dead cap hit if he's released or retired, even though his contract's not guaranteed. And I guess he does currently carry a 63 if he plays, but he said he's willing to restructure that. So you would think they would do it in some type of fashion where, they'd be able to bring him back. They could lower that cap hit, to improve this roster. And I think too, Darren Moogie, who's, hired as the general manager here, and you look at his resume, he actually, was a practice squad player for the Falcons and Cardinals. And then actually has been in the Denver Broncos organization for the past 12 years, working his way up from a scouting intern all the way to the assistant general manager, and also, was a assistant director of college scouting, director of player personnel. So it seems like, he's been through different phases of a front office. He knows, what you have to do. And, I would think too, maybe some, he'd bring in some more experienced advisors to help, but he also has a good first hand of a pretty quick rebuild. Denver had been really struggling and hadn't made the playoffs since their Super Bowl victory in 2016 going into this year. But George Patton, retooling that roster, yet a lot of younger players, what they did with Bo Nix, obviously getting it right, with the coach and Sean Payton. So, hoping for similar success here. And I think, as long as he surrounds himself with good people and everybody's on the same page, and I guess they are going to do, the whole thing where the coach and the general manager, together report to Woody, not, coach the GM. So to kind of really get everybody on the same page, which I think is good. So I think it's off to a good start. I mean, obviously the whole thing is, we know, Michael, you just, with the Jets, you can never assume anything. But I just think, given what the options are, I think what they've done, with these hires gives them the best chance to have any level of success. The next domino to fall is Rodgers and the offensive coordinator. But we'll have to see what happens. But I just thought it was off to a good start, with that introductory press conference. That's for sure. So, we'll have to see. As the week progresses, we'll talk more and more about the upcoming Super Bowl in New Orleans. But I do think that's going to be an all-time classic. And obviously we're a little ways away, from predictions, Michael. But do you see that as like kind of a similar to what we just saw with Chiefs Bills, like down to the last possession type of game, or what do you think
for the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I don't know. I could see. I just could see the Chiefs doing their thing and like having total control.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
Better coach, better QB.
Beat him before. Obviously, the just difference. Saquon is unbelievable, but I was talking about this on the show yesterday. The difference of having Steve Spagnuolo at defensive coordinator, DC of the Giants for the Super Bowl win over the Pats, the last 3 with the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. He's been there. He's done that. So I think, with some similar players, especially at the skill position, other than, Saquon Barkley, I think there's some familiarity there as well. So you expect them to be nothing short of fully prepared for this game. I know, obviously I'm sure this will change as, we get closer to the Super Bowl, but as of right now, I think I checked last night. Okay. So it started at 2. Right now, the line is 1.5 Kansas City. So obviously, that's what they're expecting. And, judging by the last time these two teams played, I think it was a 3-point game. And it was a little higher scoring. Totals at 49.5. I think last time it was like 34-31 or 35-32, something along those lines. So it'll be interesting to see if it's a high scoring game again. I kind of think it's going to be lower scoring, but we'll have to see. But definitely excited for that, can't wait as we approach the Super Bowl. That's for sure. But let's go now to the world of the National Hockey League.
Here he comes. McDavid shoots. Top shelf. He scores. Captain with the overtime winner. nothing. Rink Washington made the full split save.
Are you kidding me?
Turn, side of the net, between the legs, and they score! Filthy! David Pasternak, the silver trophy to the Golden Knights.
All right. So we had the 5-pack in the NHL last night, and on NHL Network, the national game, we saw the Red Wings defeat the Kings 5-2, and I actually watched this from start to finish. And actually, Michael, it was in conjunction with watching Entourage, and I think we're into the early stages of season 6.
Very nice.
And Meadow Soprano just came into the picture. Obviously, Jamie Lynn Sigler.
There you go.
But really, like, just it's a good time in the show. I can't wait to see the finish. And it was funny. I was almost like bugging out yesterday because it's been one of those things recently where, whenever there's a little downtime or you just want something before bed, it's just so nice to like have that. And I was like, oh, season 6, like this is almost over. But then I saw like, okay, so we're gonna still have all of season 6, season 7, season 8 plus the movie.
Yep.
So there's still some room to run, but I have to say, we'll see how the finish is. But for me, it's almost pulled even with The Sopranos.
It is.
It's and I just feel like it almost like can't be duplicated.
No.
It's just like the vibes. So that's the biggest thing is like the good vibes. So we were having a good time watching that last night for sure. But back to this Kings game. I have to say I was surprised, and I know the Kings have been a little inconsistent recently. But they start this game hot. A little over 5 minutes in, Fiala scores to give them a 1-0 lead, and then 2 minutes later, the Detroit Red Wings actually have an own goal situation. Quentin Byfield, the nearest King, so they give him the goal. So they're gifted a goal. They're up to 0, but 40 seconds later, or I guess technically 35, Lucas Raymond, always a Tony favorite. Actually, go get to JD here.
He probably doesn't understand.
So what are they comparing to Sopranos? No, I was comparing JD, the Sopranos to Entourage, and Sopranos has always been my favorite show, and I guess it came out when I was younger, so I didn't really watch it till probably 8 years ago, and then this past year I rewatched it again, and it was obviously amazing, and I've always said that that's my favorite show of all time. But I just recently started watching Entourage, and I'm not done yet. I'm on season 6, but I was saying that it's pretty much neck and neck.
I'll tell you one thing: it ends better than The Sopranos.
Yeah, Sopranos ending is weird, but I'm actually kind of curious what JD thinks about that. If he could let us know if he's which series he thinks is better. Obviously, 2 all-time greats, but just curious to see what he was going to say there. So Raymond gave him the 2-1 lead there. On to the second. And after that, Detroit outscoring the Kings 4-1. 2 goals in the third by Casper. DeBrincat had a second period power play. And then Elmer Soderblom had his first goal of the season. And that was all the scoring. So Detroit ends up walking away with this game with a 5-2 victory. And they've really improved things. They have the interim coach. And I'm bad with the NHL coaches. I'm not going to lie. There's a couple I know, but he was the coach of the Kings last season, actually. So it was kind of an interesting storyline to play them again. And it's Todd McLean. And he, was the head coach of the Kings. It looks like from, I think it was 2018, I want to say. Okay, so 2019 to 2023, fired actually midseason last year, and had 2 playoff appearances in 4.5 seasons. And then Tommy's saying, Entourage is just good, solid TV. And it's interesting, and you would know better, Michael, because you watch a lot more of the shows and stuff like that. But is there any other show that does so many of the people just playing themselves as guest stars?
No.
Like that, I don't know why that no one ever adapted that.
It's because Entourage is a
They
league
feel
in
like
its own.
Yeah. Because I just saw the one, and I don't know if you remember the episode, but
Of course,
they had
it's my favorite show.
The golf tournament with Brady.
Yep. And Johnny Drama and Turtle are giving him a hard time.
No, and then it's just so funny. He's like giving Brady a hard time, not giving him the water bottle. And then he says something about like, "Oh yeah, you want me, you and Jamie? We could have dinner with me and Giselle." He's like, "Oh really?" Like, and then just like completely like does a 360.
Yep.
So that's funny. And then, dude, what about the hard time that they get? Like, it's really just drama, but he just like can't get over it. The turtle can hook up with Jamie.
Yeah.
Like,
It's great.
Yeah.
Jamie, speaking of them, her podcast accepted our collaborator.
Yes.
On that Sopranos post.
Yeah, I did see that. And
dope.
I have listened to that before. They're good people.
They are
for sure. Her and Robert O'Lear.
Look at you.
Yeah. You know, well, because remember it was a while ago, but I told you how Sam's cousin, Robert O'Lear, was the best man at the wedding.
Oh shit!
A couple of years ago. So yeah, got to meet him.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. But so you know, so that was the Red Wings game there. We saw the Flyers, Torts, hanging in there, getting a 4-2 victory here. 23, 22 and 6 now in the season. And the Devils falling to 28, 18 and 6. Kind of been inconsistent since that hot start. And obviously, you know, Markstrom being out a while, I think, you know, that's going to be a big loss. So we'll kind of see how they can stay afloat. But I mean, still solid with the record there. Jake Allen stepping in yesterday, 22 of 25. And for the Flyers, Urson, you know, had a great game, 31 of 33. And they got their 4 goals, all from different players. Brink had his 7th, Farabee his 8th, Hathaway his 7th, and then Loughton had an empty netter at the end. Dougie Hamilton and Timo Meier scoring for the Devils. So Flyers, one of those teams that the Rangers are, you know, competing with for in that wild card race. And me and Tony, you know, hit this one in the head yesterday. The Canucks 5-2 over the Blues. You know, you look at this game, Canucks starting out with that 2-0 lead in the first period and kind of really, you know, never looking back. Garland actually with both of those goals, his 12th and the 13th. And then in the second period, JT Miller, maybe future Ranger, former Ranger, future Ranger, 9th goal of the year there. You know, he's missed some time with injuries. Quinn Hughes, who had an assist on one of the Garland goals, up to 42 assists on the year. You know, he's had a great year. So that made it 3-0. Holloway, you know, gave one back for the Blues to make it 3-1, his 16th. But then rest of the way, Sutter gets one to make it 4-1. Perico for the Blues, his 11th to make it 4-2. And then Myers, the empty netter at the end, to make it 5-2. So the Canucks, who have had an up and down season as well, right now find themselves 22, 17, and 10. 10 overtime losses. That's a lot. Blues fall to 23, 24, and 4. So teams that you feel like one way or another, whether that's acquiring or selling, as we, you know, move closer to the March trade deadline, you'd think they would be involved. The Oilers winning 4-2 over the Kraken. You know, you had Connor McDavid returning from suspension in this game. The future Ranger, Michael, or no?
I still think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a lot one of these days, but you feel like he's ready for that big stage. You know what I mean? And it's like almost like Aaron Glenn in a sense. But you know, just that, like, to take it upon his own to be that guy on the big stage and finally, you know, stop that championship drought. Obviously, I'm sure he'd love to do it for Edmonton too. You know, he did get on the score sheet on this one in the second, his 21st of the season. Also, Jan Mark had his 2nd, Corey Perry his 9th, and Elkholm with an empty netter at the end, his 7th. Dunn and Tolavanen scoring for Seattle, who's now 22, 26, and 3. Edmonton 32, 15, and 3. And it's interesting with Edmonton. Seems like they always have like this like really like rough patch during the season, but then always figure it out. And I think that's what happens when you have 2 of the best players in the game, in Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. And I know Skinner was banged up, so Calvin Pickard got the start, 26 to 28 in net. So pretty good performance there in Edmonton, you know, looking to get back to the Stanley Cup final. So close last year, losing in that game 7. And then last game of the night, a little bit of an upset here. The Sharks 2-1 over the Penguins, snapping, I think it was a 6-game losing streak going into this game. You know, Pittsburgh, it just really seems like maybe finally not only are, you know, Crosby, Malkin, and Letang just getting too old, but that, you know, all this talk of trades and everybody's on the table is, I think, starting to get to the team, because the Sharks have been one of the worst teams in the league this year. This was only their 15th win. You know, their top pick, Celebrini, had his 16th. Granlund his 15th. And then you had Sidney Crosby for the Penguins score his 15th as well. But obviously Sharks aren't contending. Doesn't look like the Penguins are, contending. And it really, like, understand, you have guys like Malkin and Crosby, and you want to keep it going for as long as possible. But I think where they went wrong is as they got older, if, they didn't want to trade him, they should have acquired more talent to go around him, because they can't be, the main cogs anymore. They need help. And Gensel was doing a great job. When he was there, obviously they trade him. And I didn't really like the return they had gotten in that deal last year. And I think that kind of set them back a little bit. I know Raquel has been having a decent year for them this year. He has 23 goals, 19 assists. Sidney has 15 goals, 38 assists. And then Malkin only has 9 goals. He's missed a few games, 25 assists. So, going to be interesting. And I'm sure they're ready to get rid of Erik Karlsson. But he's got that contract, so it'll be interesting to see what they do there. Maybe Michael Bunting, who did come over, in the Gensel trade, maybe he gets moved. Who knows? And what do you think about what JD says here? He says, Entourage and Sopranos, different genres.
Yeah, I think, but he's missing the point that it's on par in terms of quality. Exactly.
Yeah, quality and almost like addictiveness.
Oh, yeah.
Like type of thing, like binge worthy.
100%
is what I would say.
You watch many seasons in a row.
And it's just sick that they're 20-minute episodes. So it's like, you just want to watch one. It's like you could fit it in real quick.
Yep.
And then, as I always say, a Michael personal favorite, Burning in the building, says, let's go, Morning Boys. And I know just as much as me, he's counting down the days till we get some Yankee baseball.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure. And it's kind of nuts.
First
spring training game, roughly like 3 weeks away or so. And JD says quality. Is that what he says? Quality?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're just saying, he says, it is binge worthy. Yeah. So quality just mean start to finish, production,
acting,
cast. There's no weak points to it.
No.
And maybe, people could say they didn't like the Sopranos ending, whatever. But other than that, I feel like both shows just have really top quality. And I like I said, I just really liked how they adapted the real life of people into the show. It just made it and it's so many different people. It's not like, it's just one person. I mean, it's like, I haven't even finished it yet, but I feel like I've seen easily, 10 different celebrities. I'm sure there's way many more.
Did you obviously saw the weed smoking scene where they go to the shaman?
Yes.
Because there's a drought. You know who?
Yeah.
The guy with the beard. You know who plays him?
Who?
Val Kilmer.
And who's that?
If I showed you him, you would know who he is. Hold on. He's struggling now. That's him old, actually. Hold on.
And then JD also says, oh, this guy? Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's old there, but
yeah.
I'm talking young. He was Batman. He was big. He was big time Top Gun.
Yeah, no, I mean, the amount of people that they have is he was in Top Gun?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The OG, the first one. And he's in the second, but he's got some throat thing going on. So he can't, it's
crazy how long they made. I haven't watched, I actually, because part of it was on the original one. And I was like, maybe I'd actually like this. So, but it's just crazy how long they have in between sequels for that. Is that a record?
It's gotta be. I kind of hate when they do that. It's like, why didn't you just do it 30 years ago? But
yeah.
No disputing, agreed. Johnny Drama and then Iceman.
It's funny. I guess he's growing into his sense, but if I had to pick sometimes he's annoying for me. I don't know. Sometimes it's funny, but it's just sometimes it's too much. Where he's just even what I was saying with Turtle with Jamie, that he just can't handle it.
He's funny. He's funny. I mean, his character's great, and then you'll see how his whole thing ends. It's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
It's dope because he's trying to be an actor still,
right?
It's just it ain't happening.
Dude, Viking Quest,
dude. How funny is that?
Oh yeah, dude, it's hilarious.
Mike, throw up Top Gun for Barnes. I know we got to.
But I now also too. How was the new version?
It was good. Yeah, no, it was good.
Which is rare for a sequel, especially you would think about that amount of time. Jay
Bird.
Early and often. So good to get Jay in here. And kind of interested, Jay, if you want to comment. I know we already talked about it, but just what
Entourage,
your thoughts
baby.
were. I mean, I'm sure he's big on Entourage.
He definitely loves it. I love that show. I mean, it's downtime.
Yeah. No, it really is. And I was also just curious too what Jay thought about Glenn yesterday. If he's hyped up about.
Oh
the
my
Jets'
God, he
new
definitely
head
not
coach.
to. I'll be my Tony, my best Tony. He's got some blood flow going. Like that's for sure. Jay Bird probably wanted to sign up to be on the team and play.
Seriously. So, so that was it for last night with the hockey games. Tonight, it looks like we got 3, 6, 8 games. Rangers, Hurricanes. That's the one, of course, we have circled, on the schedule here. Rangers right now, plus 120 on the money line. Carolina minus 140. Obviously, the Hurricanes, just had that big trade, bringing in Rantanen, which I think is huge. And, they did get rid of Nikas, who actually leads them in points this year with 55. They did pick up Taylor Hall as well. So I think that's one of those things that's going to be a seamless transition. They've been one of the top teams in the league last couple of years. Rod Brindamore, the head coach, has done an excellent job. He's 16-4 this year, but 11-3 away from the Lenovo Center. So that, makes you feel good. But besides the fact that the Rangers just have been scoring, 15 goals the last 3 games. I mean, there were stretches during this season where I would say 15 goals might have taken 7, 8 games. I mean, the lack of scoring was that bad. And I think because there's that confidence there, the offensive flow is better. And Igor didn't have his best game last time out. I would imagine for this one, he'll be pumped up. So really, really excited to watch that one. Before we get to the frenzy, what do we got from here, Jay?
He says, I am torqued up about Aaron. He wanted the job.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like how it's like a joke for us, at us, for us, but it's just like how many people have picked us, Michael, over the years. That's the thing.
Oh man, I mean,
the list is far.
It happened this year with the Patriots coach.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Also today, big news. This is just a side note, not sports related. To all my crypto enthusiasts, it's XRP Community Day. Tune into their spaces starting at 10 a.m. I highly recommend it. There's some big news brewing. I have reports that we have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. And CTO Joel Katz tweeted yesterday an ominous, and I always put this like GIF, and it's Jim Carrey as the Riddler. And I go, here come the Riddlers, because there's people, Barnes, your head would explode with just like how many people trying to encrypt X posts from this guy or just from other accounts that are tied to Ripple. And he posts a video where he goes up, he shows a bush, a green bush, very high. So people are like, he did that on purpose. That means XRP's going green, the green candle, they call it. And then he pans to the right, and it's showing a TV with Gary Gensler, the former SEC chairman.
Rat, obviously.
It looks like one, acts like one, and
talks like a dog.
And he's used some kind of AI-generated thing where he has Gary Gensler apologizing to XRP.
Oh, really?
And then he has a white towel on the TV.
Oh, wow.
So apparently there might be some news that the case may be dismissed today. I mean, it's just crazy times ahead of us, folks. XRP Army.
Yeah. And I see Bernie riled saying, let's go XRP. And he says, Mike dropping knowledge.
Danny loves it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's all about it. We're all about it. But I would say, Michael, it would be a good time to do a Tuesday Frozen Frenzy.
Frozen.
Speaking of Frozen, Tony messing around with the keys, even when he's not here.
There we go. I got it.
There we go. And actually,
are the Rangers playing tonight?
They are. We'll get to that. We'll start from the top here, starting at 7. 2 of Tony's favorite, I guess you could say, side teams. We have the Buffalo Sabres hosting the Boston Bruins. And this is kind of one of your Vegas special kind of sketchy lines because the Sabres have So,
I'm Mike, not Tony.
All right, back to it.
People do say we're brothers.
The
So
Sabres, one of the worst teams in the league this year, 18, 26, and 5. And I know Boston, interim coach, haven't been great this year, but recently have been playing better. 25, 20, and 6. So kind of sketchy that they're only road minus 115 favorites here. You do have Lindholm on the IR, as well as McAvoy and Wallstrom. Maybe that has something to do with it, but it looks like Swayman will be good to go for this game. So a couple times, I've said, it's, Vegas trap, and then, it ends up actually being a Vegas trap. But I just look at it as the Sabres just are not a good team. It feels like Lindley Ruff, the second act is just not going to work out there in Buffalo. We'll see. But full confidence in the Bruins in this one. I think it's an easy win. I'm projecting 4-1. I'm going to say Pastrnak, 2 goals and an assist. He's been great this year, 59 points. So we're going to go Bruins and the under for the first game of the night. A few here in the 7 o'clock window. Next game up, one of our favorite spots, the Bell Center, Montreal, Quebec. The Canadiens and our boy Montembeault, one of the most underrated tenders in the league, Tommy knows, hosting the Jets here. And speaking of good tenders, Connor Hellebuck, a favorite here, to win the Goalie of the Year award. I want to say it's the Vezina, if I'm not mistaken. But he's had a great year. The Jets have had a great year. 34, 14, and 3, 14 and 9 away from Winnipeg. And then the Canadiens 24 and 20.
it is the best.
Five ties. And, looking at this game, Montreal, it does seem like there's a little value there. The plus 135. Winnipeg is going to be minus 155. So it's tempting. And, you look at how the teams have played recently. Winnipeg's won 3 in a row. The Canadiens have actually lost their last 2. Both nail biters, 4-2 to Detroit, 4-3 in overtime to the Devils. The only time they played this year, back in December, the Jets winning 4-2. So this is tough. I don't usually like to go against Montembeault here, but I do think the Jets are the better team. I just want to make sure, Daily Faceoff is always so good for this stuff, but that we have both of them starting tonight, and it looks like it's going to be, why is this, I don't know why I don't see it on Daily Faceoff right now. But anyway, I'm gonna go with the Jets. I think tight game. I want to say, though, they pull away late. Defensive game, I'm going to say overtime. We're going to see Kyle Connor, the game winner. So let's go 3-2 Jets. Jets and the under. So moving along here, next game up on the schedule, we are still at the 7 o'clock hour. This time we're in Tampa at MLI Arena, and I'm excited to go there when I go to spring training in March. So that's going to be exciting. I know that place is always rocking, and the Lightning have played well there. 15-6-1. They're hosting the Blackhawks, who on the road this year are 5-15-3. So have really struggled away from Chicago. Not that they're that much better at home as well. 15-29-5 overall. The Lightning, though, 26-19, have had their up and downs this year. But this is one of those things where I feel like you don't overthink it. Tampa has been the far better team despite losing 3 out of their last 4 games. They did beat Chicago 4 days ago, 4-3 in overtime. And the Blackhawks' only win their past 5 games was against the Vegas Knights on the 18th, 5-3. They've lost some close games, but I just think Tampa at home, too strong, inferior opponent. I think they easily get this done. I'm going to say Vasilevsky, with the shutout here. And I'm going to say the Lightning are going to win this game. Let's say 4-0. And I'll give Kucherov 2 goals and Braden Point 2 goals. And we'll say that Vasilevsky goes 30 of 30 in net here. So the Lightning improving to 27 and 19 here. So moving along, next game up, it's the game we all have circled, the New York Rangers, 24, 21 and 4 this year. They are hosting the Carolina Hurricanes. We talked about the odds before. Carolina minus 140. The Rangers plus 120. The Rangers coming off that tough loss to Colorado, looking to get back in the winner's circle. We've talked about the tight race there in the Eastern Conference for the wild card. And what trades are they going to potentially do? We'll have to see. But I think this has one of those classic Ranger Hurricane matchups. We've seen him in the postseason a few times the last couple of years. These tight games. I think this is an overtime game. And Coach Chekhov, who has overall been good this year, I think he goes toe-to-toe with Shesterkin. I think we have a 2-2 game going into overtime. And I'm going to say we go back to our roots there with the Panarin scores. I hope Kenny's on the call on the radio for this one. But I'm going to say the Rangers 3-2, picking up a much-needed win. Rangers in the under. Next game up on the schedule here, we are going we're going to go to actually UBS Arena. So 2 games in New York tonight. They are hosting the Avalanche, who just were at the Garden here. The Islanders have been playing better of late. They're plus 120 here. Colorado, the new look. We talked about Nikos joining the squad here. They're minus 140. And overall, I've kind of had an up and down season. Almost kind of reminds me of the type of year that the Florida Panthers have been having, where they look pretty good, but then they have some questionable losses. And of recent, they have had a couple of those. They did win against the Rangers last time out, but before that, 3 straight losses. All good opponents, but Boston, they lost 3-1. They lost to the Jets 3-2 in overtime. And they lost 3-1 to Minnesota. You look at the Islanders, they've actually won 4 in a row. So a season where they've struggled to be consistent. They've been playing well lately. 3 of those wins were against San Jose, Columbus, and the Flyers, but the win over Carolina was impressive over the weekend. Be interesting to see what type of effort they give here. It's just tough with the Islanders, even though they do look a lot better. A game like this, I have a tough time taking them. So I wouldn't be surprised. I know I keep going overtime here. But if we get another overtime game here, higher scoring this time, so take the over. But I'm going to say 5-4 Colorado, and I'm going to say Nikos, the game winner there. So we'll go Avalanche in the over in that one. 3 games left here. We got the 9 o'clock window now. The Capitals at the Flames. So this is Scotiabank Saddle Dome, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. The Flames come in 24-17-7. 15-6-3 at home. The Capitals, one of the best road records in the league at 17-7-1. Also one of the best records in the league, 33-11-5. And this is pretty easy for me. I know that the Flames have played pretty well, winners of their last 3 out of 4. And this is the first matchup of these teams this season. But just the way that Washington has played this year, I have not seen them, and I know it's different now. Not that Ovechkin still isn't one of the best players in the league, but he has more surrounding help, and I think that's really what's elevating him this year. And Lindgren has played well he's just gotten good help from the overall supporting cast. So I think this is an easy win. I'm going to say Ovechkin as he gets closer and closer to Gretzky's record. Let's give him 2 goals and 2 assists here. So I think he's on the score sheet for all 4 goals, and I think the Capitals are going to win this game 4-1. So give me the Capitals and the under. Next game up here on the schedule, looks like we got 2 more, and we're going to the 10 o'clock window for the last 2 in Vegas. The Knights, minus 115, hosting the Dallas Stars. The Dallas, minus 105. Both teams with 2 of the best records in the whole league here. So this is a star-studded matchup. Dallas coming in 31-17-1. Vegas 31-15-4. 19-6-1 at home. Dallas 13-10 on the road. You look at how they've played recently. The Stars have won 3 out of 4. The Knights have won 2 out of their last 5, but 2 out of 3, beating Florida last time out 4-1. So while they are both good teams, I know they've had slip-ups here and there. I do like Vegas in this one. There's just something about them playing at T-Mobile Arena. Pretty tough to beat on a regular basis. So Jack Eichel, who's been a little shy with the goals here, 47 assists, so still 62 points. I think he's going to go with the hat trick. Had to have one on this game night to night. So we'll say Eichel with the hat trick. I'm going to say Vegas winning 5-3. So it's going to be the Knights in the over. And going to our last game of the schedule here, also at 10 o'clock, the Ducks at the Kraken here. So two teams under 500. The Seattle slight home favorites here, minus 135. Maybe a little value here on Anaheim. Looks like they're coming in at plus 115. And if you look at the recent results here, obviously the Kraken last night losing to Edmonton. And of recent, they have actually had won 3 of their previous 4 games. The Ducks have won their last 2 before dropping the previous 3. 2 of those to Florida, 1 to Tampa. But I just like Anaheim this year. I don't know. I mean, I know their record isn't great, 20-23, but 6 overtime losses as well. But I just think Terry Gibson has done a nice job in net, or Dostal as well. And then Frankie V, I think he's done a good job there. So I just think more talent. So I think they get it done. I'm going to say 4-2. So give me the Ducks in the over. And just like that, that is your Tuesday Frozen Frenzy. So a decent slate on the ice tonight. And I can't wait to watch this Rangers game. And, obviously, when you go into a year, you don't want to be sweating it out for the last couple of months, every game mattering like as much as it does. But it does make for exciting, much watch TV. So definitely excited to watch that game against Carolina later. I did see a couple comments trickle in if we want to get to those.
Yes, we have Josh B. Yo, fam.
Josh B.
What's good, Josh? Are you in corporate world or are you still feeling sick? Tony's sick. Tommy Donovan giving you the freaking awards, buddy. Goaltender, Vezina, MVP, Hart. Coach Jack Adams, goal scorer Maurice, Rocket Richard, two-way forward Selk, defenseman Norris, points leader Art Ross. I'm not sure. Is he?
No, those are the names of the awards.
Okay, good.
And I had heard of the Hart Trophy, and have heard of the Norris, but I had not heard of the Rocket Richard in the
you
Jack
like that
Adams.
one.
So Tommy is always right on it. So we appreciate that. And
Danny
just a true hockey fan.
saying Eagles 55-37 Chiefs final. I'm a Pats fan, but I choose the lesser of
55 to go back. I mean, that would have to be a record. 110 points in the 2 playoff games to win a championship. I mean, I know we've never seen that.
That would be big time.
Yeah. Wow. What else we got here?
Going March 5th, need Ovi to not get too hot next month.
Wow. Wait, March 5th. He must be. He must be going to the Capitals, because the reason I was. Oh, actually, no. March 5th. Okay, right. That is against the Capitals. I was thinking February. That should be a good game for sure.
Back to work, no corporate today. Regular down the shore office. LOL. Feeling better, thanks.
Great to hear. We know Josh was on the mend yesterday, and it seemed like somehow
apparently he was crying and stuff. He was so hurt.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Like he was just crying. He was so sick he couldn't handle the pain.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say that he got Tony sick.
Oh, definitely too. Somehow, some way he blew that air this way.
But no, always good to have Josh be with us, of course. Like I said, I'm excited for the Rangers tonight, and it'd be interesting to see do they get this Miller deal done? It feels like it would be such a boost to the team and just the energy in the Garden to see his debut. And I know things have been looking good lately, so I don't know if it's that they're kind of hesitant now, kind of want to keep it together. But the defense obviously has to do a better job. Josh B, of course, saying, let's fucking go Rangers. So he is jacked up, of course. And I think he's going to be jacked up for a next segment here, Michael, as we are going to do a Panini Prism. And we've only done one of these packs so far. This is going to be for baseball, Michael. So if we do have the baseball tonight music on the docket, I think that would kind of get us in theme here. I don't know. Tony messing around with the keys again, imitating Michael.
Yeah, exactly.
So these cards, all right, it's 30 cards.
I heard you weren't too happy yesterday with the pulls.
No. Actually, the funny
Marvin
part is,
Harrison Jr.
I was pumped. I thought it was a really good pack.
Saquon.
No, it's funny. You know what? I feel like I did the pull like Tony would do with the straight face, but it's okay for Tony to do it with the
Of
straight face. But
course.
I do it with the straight face, and that means I'm tight.
Yeah.
They're really good cards. I don't know. Did you look through?
Yeah.
but I think-
I organized the other ones. They're in a binder, nice and safe. And then I don't know if you noticed in there, I got sleeves to put the
Oh,
cards
really?
in.
That's awesome.
So
yeah,
they're
yeah.
super
Dude,
protected.
back in the day, I used to have so many sleeves and binders, and just kind of curious too. We've been we started with the Panini cards for basketball, but we've grown to hockey, football, baseball. Just curious if anybody has any like particular packs they like getting or recommending.
I told you that the hockey one that's legit, right?
No.
I posted in the group on while you pull, I'll get it up.
Okay, yeah. So we're gonna go with a throwback card here to start. So this is to get everybody jacked up. And this guy was a legend, multiple-time World Series champion. Started his career with the Braves. Spent the vast majority with St. Louis. Adam Wainwright. So one of the legends of the game here. A 200-game winner. So one of the better pitchers of his generation. So that's a good pool there. Looks like we're going prospect hunting here from the Tampa Bay Rays, Adrian Santana. And if you look at the summary here, looks like he played in Class A for Tampa in 23. He's kind of just getting his feet wet. So always good to have, a prospect. And I have to say, Michael, this is one of those, you're not that excited, Tony's? This one I am so excited for. This is the future of the New York Yankees organization. He might not make his debut for 3-4 years because I think he's still 19 years old.
Wow.
I know all my fellow Yankee fans watching are going to be pumped from this one. The shortstop, George Lombard Jr.
Wow, that's a sick card
So
then.
made his debut last year. This, I'm telling you, pure gold, Michael. And I know Josh B, JD, they're fired up. And Tommy as well, for sure. So that is the best card from baseball that we've gotten so far. And then we go another prospect here from the Seattle Mariners, Colt Emerson.
Nice.
So looks like Colt
like the
Emerson
young
here
cards.
was at low A last year, so kind of just getting his feet wet. Looks like he's a shortstop. So definitely some future value there. And then also from the Seattle Mariners, Emerson Hancock. So the pitcher here, and actually made his debut for Seattle last year, posting a 4.5 ERA in 3 games last year.
Josh
for the
fire
Mariners. Josh fired up. I'm fired up. And just like
No,
that,
you're not excited.
that is your Prism pack reveal. What were you gonna say?
So for the NHL, we have the Upper Deck Series 1 and 2.
Okay.
And you could find Young Gun rookie cards. Those are the ones that are worth something in those packs.
Mm-hmm.
But the best pack card that you could get is Upper Deck,
Yep.
but it's called the Cup. You know
The
how much
Cup.
these are going for?
Now, is it a box of how many cards?
Let me look that up. Hold on. Upper Deck.
Also, where are you showing that it's being sold?
It's basically anywhere.
Okay.
But they're all right. So they're in the $500 to $1,000, $500 to $1,000
for how many cards?
I'm not sure, but the cards you're getting are jersey
cards. Okay.
jersey signed cards.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So no, I know those are big.
Autograph monumental rookie patch with the jersey and then the autographed, and then it's usually they're limited edition cards too. So it's like this one I'm looking at is Matty Beniers for the center for Seattle. One of 6 that were made.
Okay, so a lot of rare cards. So basically,
Very rare.
You're getting your money back.
Connor
on one
McDavid,
card.
the stick and the patch with the autograph.
Yeah.
Like,
But it seems
like that's sick.
For now, though, I think we're
of course.
No. I was gonna say we're in all night stream territory for one of those.
Oh
packs.
yeah. Definitely. Yep.
But there's nothing like trading cards, and I definitely have been like rejuvenated because I'm telling you, so obsessed. Like we would go away to Myrtle Beach every year, and there was like a card store that was right nearby, and I would every single time we'd pass it, we have to go, I have to get something.
Yeah.
I mean, just so many cards, so many packs. And then I feel like I just completely forgot about it. Corey was always into the cards. And then when you started going with the paninis a couple years ago, that kind of got me into it a little bit. And now it's nice to
have a variation.
Yes, exactly. I was surprised, man. I guess it's Walmart. It's shitty, but they didn't have any hockey cards when I was there last time. They just had the basketball, which I figured, okay, let's try some different stuff here. So a lot of packs still left. We're gonna have four more football packs. And then this is let's see, for the baseball. We also have 4 more packs. So 8 more packs, and it's tempting not to just go through all of them.
I know.
We had that phase when we were doing
that was that
Gaming
one
Corner.
time where we
went
ripped
3 or
like
4.
I think Tony wasn't here, and me and you just were degenerates.
Get the Bulls song going.
Yeah.
So that's obviously great stuff, of course. And other than that, just kind of looking ahead here. We're going to talk about tomorrow. We have the Pebble Beach Pro-Am starting on Thursday. So the second signature event of the PGA Tour season. And we're also going to have Scotty Scheffler making his season debut, recovering from that hand injury he suffered over Christmas. So we'll definitely want to talk about that tomorrow. And I guess just a quick run here of the NBA last night. We did see the Knicks blow out the Grizzlies 143-106. And just a dominant performance start to finish here. Cat, I guess, playing through this thumb injury, did have 24 points, 11 rebounds. Bridges was the leading scorer with 28. And then Jalen Brunson had 20, 6 assists. So with the additions of Bridges and Towns, a lot less has been on Jalen Brunson. And I think that's good because he was, really worn out last year. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do with this team. If they're thinking about, maybe making an addition here, because 31-16, I mean, that's one of the best records that they've had, in some time. And I think everybody just has the same concern just about the minutes. And last night they were able to really, limit those minutes from the big guys, and just because of the big lead that they had. But just down the stretch, when you have these tight games and, can you have guys playing 40 minutes? It just seems like maybe another depth piece or two would be good. Maybe they even entertain, if the package isn't too much, bringing DiVincenzo back. But I know he's having a toe problem, so I don't know when he's going to come back. I guess they're not going to do surgery because he's on a couple of my fantasy teams, and I happen to notice that. So it'll be interesting to see.
Apparently they're looking at Nurkic.
Interesting. Yeah, I saw that whole thing. Wait, and what team is he on? Because I saw
Phoenix.
Phoenix. Phoenix is a mess. You see how he said, though, he has no relationship with the coach?
Yeah.
Like, how could you even go into the building after saying something like that?
It's crazy.
Yeah, it just feels like they're never going to figure it out. Butler suspended again as well. I know you saw that.
I hope they. Oh, I know. He's embarrassing himself.
Do you think, just to spite him, they're just not going to trade him?
Either that or trade him to a shit team.
Yeah. Trade him to Toronto or something. I feel like you would get real tight about that.
Oh my God, yeah.
So yeah, kind of interesting. And I did see, I actually was watching part of it, or not. I was watching just NBA TV, and I saw AD had 21 in the first quarter last night. Ended up with 42 overall, 23 boards. Playing the Hornets, but they do win 112-107. So 26-18 on the season for the Lakers, who are under 500 on the road. Cavs had been struggling. They win 110-91 over the Pistons. So still 37-9. Rockets have been hot. A 2-point win over the Celtics. Looks like that was a great game. 114-112. Nets keep losing here. I'm sure Bernie's hoping to spike the lottery there.
Oh, yeah.
As they fall to 14-33. Kings 24-22, 110-96. Heat in double overtime without Jimmy Butler, 125-119. And
See?
JD says, from Hot Take Johnny, check this out. Knicks are 14-15 against
I'm
top
surprised
10
Hot
seeds.
Take Johnny's saying
Both
this.
top 10 seeds, both conferences, 17-1 against everyone else. You never know what you're going to get from Hot Take Johnny. I guess, hence the nickname.
I mean, I've always said they're not a championship team, so this just proves it.
Yeah. So usually those type of trends, are telling, we'll have to see. But really, I mean, that was the notable stuff there. I mean, I guess the Suns win 111-109 over the Clippers. Kawhi's back.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting too. I don't know if it's a capacity thing, but I've seen that they have like the lowest attendance in the league, even with the new arena. And everyone thought like, oh, new arena, the hype, Ballmer, all jacked up. But I just think maybe that market, there's not room for
Lakers,
two teams.
dude,
yeah.
you know, I mean,
and they had all that hype, and the fan base was pacing for a couple of years. And what do you know? They didn't win anything.
I mean, they were sick with that Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, like that. That's when they had the stadium rocking, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's really what we got here. I guess, Michael, you were saying TBD on Binge Buddies later, depending on Tony?
Yes, depending on Tony for sure.
But
stay tuned on the social media networks. We'll keep everyone updated.
Yeah. But I have to say, sir, a pleasure once again. And really appreciate everybody who tuned in today and continues to comment, like, and subscribe. All of the archives on the YouTube page, Tony, Michael, Renee, and Jay in costume, the merch at downtimetv.com. We want everybody to enjoy the day, enjoy the games. Let's go Rangers, and we will see you mañana.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do. Thanks again.